work with us.
Welcome to the Pooh Show, hosted by Haven Bros. We're talking green and gold, headshot and go Pack Go!
Here we are for another fun episode. Packer Outright Opinions. The Packers get by the tip. Just a tip, Ben. And they got it. Even though maybe they cheated. I don't care.
They didn't cheat.
Carl,
They didn't cheat.
Is that legit?
You know how I know? Yes. If you go on YouTube, there is a I don't know where it is. I don't know what it is. But if you look up the Packers block kick, they didn't cheat, something like that. Mm-hmm. I think it's the long snapper of the Ravens has a show of his own. Okay. Or he was on this show and he talked about the play and he was like, that's legit. He said it was legit. So the long snapper of the Ravens, and he's like, I feel sorry for the long snapper of the Bears. He's like, he's been going through some stuff and it sucks, blah, blah, blah. It's legit. And I just watched a little bit. I didn't be able to rewatch the game. I just rewatched like the first couple drives. And the first time the Bears kicked the field goal, the Packers did the same damn thing. They just didn't get there. They didn't get the hands. They weren't able to block that first field goal. Like the very first 3 points by.
It's better this way, though, right? Save it for the end.
Yeah, save it for the end. It was much better. But what I'm saying is it was not illegal.
Yep, I got you.
Okay. The other thing that I noticed that like other players, other snappers on field goals, like snap it, and then they kind of get up and help block a little bit.
Yeah.
The Bears guy snaps it and looks between his legs for a long time and doesn't bother even trying to block anybody. Now, there's the rule is that he's supposed to have like a second or something before anybody's supposed to touch him in the head or something like that, or shoulders. But what if you're like, because people are saying like, oh, the Packers were in his head and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, they attacked the guy in front of him and maybe they got shoved into him.
Yeah.
They didn't, right. They were not lined up over the top of him.
Right.
I mean, you can, like I said, find this video. It's on YouTube. I don't know what the guy's name is. He's the long snapper for the Ravens. He said it's legit play. He said it's legit. So I don't want to hear it anymore, Bear fans, you whiny bitches. You lost. The Bears still suck. Period. End of story. Now, do we deserve to win the game? No, we sucked. No. We played like dog shit. Actually, the Packers kind of sucked. The Bears played much better than us.
Yep.
But we got the win. Bears still suck. Packers don't suck, I guess. Well, they do suck, but we still get the win.
7-3. 7-3. And they needed it because the Vikings won again. And
the Lions
stomped.
Dominating. Well, I mean, they played against Darnell Savage, so you know they're going to get a lot of points that way.
Yeah, but the Packers didn't stomp the Jaguars. He barely got past.
Packers aren't as good as the Lions. Duh.
What?
Didn't we figure that out 2 weeks ago when we won the last game before this Bears game when we got creamed in the freaking rain?
Yeah, but that could have been
But Jared Goff with 2 gloves on, and he still kicked the shit out of us. And then the whole second half, we didn't even try to do anything because they were like, these guys are so pathetic. We don't have to do anything. We'll still beat them.
Can't trust the guy with 2 gloves.
Can't trust the guy with 2 gloves.
But you know what's interesting? We'll get to that after we get into a few other things. But first off, Packers win. They go to 7-3. Mm-hmm. They get the win thanks to Carl Brooks with this tip.
Brooks, best defensive lineman we have on the team.
TJ Slayton was pushing in there too, and
TJ Slayton is number 2 best second guy.
There. It was good stuff. But Carl Brooks had a nice game as well, I think, overall, don't you?
I don't know. I didn't get to watch the game back. That's the thing is when you watch it just once, which is what I did this week, I don't know anything. Usually I watch the thing back, and then I will say this. Some people were saying Brenton Cox Jr., and then they were like, then people were poo-pooing on Brenton Cox Jr. because, nobody blocked him. Guess what? On his tackle for a loss, there was a pulling guard who just didn't get there fast enough because Brenton Cox was like a speed of lightning, the opposite of what we've seen from Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary, by the way. True. He is aggressive and fast, and he got his ass back there faster than shit. There was a guy there to block him. He just didn't get there. It wasn't like they just didn't block him. They pulled the guard. They pulled the right guard was supposed to come out and freaking peel him on the outside. Didn't get there fast enough because Brenton Cox was a crazy wild man. And then also later on his sack, he's just a crazy, super fast. Like before Caleb Williams knew it, boom, he was there. I'll take that every day of the week. He is at least attacking with super speed. And that was awesome. Those are 2 awesome plays by him. And they weren't because he didn't get blocked. That was part of it. But there was a guy who was supposed to block him, just didn't get there in time. Didn't get there in time, fans. So it was not a poo-poo. Do not poo-poo Brenton Cox. He made a play. He made 2 plays. 2 huge plays.
Yeah. And then the reporters asked Matt LaFleur if Lucas Van Ness needs to perform better because he was not getting as many snaps and Cox was getting more snaps.
Yeah,
he's like, well, he could have. I mean, there's some plays he could have, I think done more, and he knows that, and could have been better. But if you perform and make plays, you're going to get more opportunities. That's what he said. Because they were back on the it's not about when where you were drafted or how you got here.
Yeah, that's what they say.
It's equal opportunity. You perform, you get to play Green Bay Packers.
That's not true. It's only true in some. It's only true in some positions.
And it's not true at inside. Excuse me, at inside linebacker. Quay Walker needs to step aside.
I got to watch the film again. I don't know.
I watched the game. Anything. It's enough. I mean, just watching the game, he needs to go. Not go, but he needs to be a backup. And I don't care that he was your first round pick, and I don't care that you think he was going to be this guy, and he's got, he's heavier than the other guys that are fast, and he's faster than anybody that's as big as him. He is not physical. He's late. He does all the same things we've seen the whole time, and he's not impactful. So sorry, Quay. He was shown up again to not be very good. I mean, he doesn't make physical tackles. He misreads stuff. He's not good at blitzing. All of the other linebackers are way better at blitzing than him.
Yeah.
So what does he do? He's not any better in coverage. And Wilson's better in coverage than him. Cooper's better at blitzing than him. McDuffie's just better at everything.
Okay, I'll say this.
He's slow.
There's a couple times where Cooper was in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And if it was McDuffie instead of Cooper, the play would have been made and it would have been tackled for a loss or tackled for no gain on like a quick pass to the running back or to the tight end in the flat. Cooper does not recognize the pass. Like McDuffie makes the move before the pass is even passed sometimes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he can read the quarterback and then make a move. Cooper kind of watches it and has to react after the ball's already in the air. And then by the time he moves, the ball's already caught and the guy's moving forward and then he doesn't get there in time. Sometimes he's just a rookie, right? He doesn't quite play the same.
Yeah.
I mean, McDuffie is so much better as a player. He just doesn't have the super talent or whatever, but I don't give a crap. Right. You want a guy out there, like how many times you watch McDuffie fly over there and tackle a guy for no gain on like a tight end in the flat or a running back in the flat or something like that? Many times. He's always there making plays. And it's just kind of ridiculous. We're talking about the defense. This is my question. This is what I want to know. So I just watched a little bit. I watched the first drive. And the first third down where Caleb Williams escaped and ran out to the side and Edrin Cooper tried to catch up to him and couldn't catch up to him and he ran for the first down.
Right.
The Packers sent 6 guys. They sent 6 blitzers on that play. And there was 4 guys playing man coverage and Xavier McKinney way, way back deep. They played man. They did not even look. That's why Caleb Williams ran all over the place. Did the Packers, remember, what did I say last week about the Bear game? What I was worried about? I said, hey, Caleb Williams runs around, does crazy stuff, right? I said that. I was like, because I've seen him. Yeah. I've watched a couple Bear games. I think the Packers just watched the last 3 Bear games and saw that they sucked. And he didn't, because he got sacked 9 times and he wasn't running. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, well, he's not going to run. He's not going to run. And then they never adjusted. How could they play Kyler Murray and shut him down? Play Anthony Richardson and shut him down. Do pretty good against Jalen Hurts. They did pretty dang good against rushing quarterbacks. And then against Caleb Williams, they just forgot to just run the same damn plays you ran against Kyler Murray. But they didn't. And they got creamed. 9 carries for 70 yards as a the quarterback. Yeah. You just let them go free. It's ridiculous.
I don't know what the plan was. So the Bears have a bad offensive line. They were giving up all these sacks, and I didn't hardly see any of the 8-man fronts and then blitz, backing out and trying to confuse the quarterback.
They didn't do any of that.
So why? It's a rookie quarterback with a shitty offense.
Right. They played man coverage and they blitzed a bunch from what I could see.
I mean, am I dumb? Like, why wouldn't you do
No,
that?
we're smart. They're dumb.
Why wouldn't you do that?
Halfley was dumb. This was the worst game Halfley has called. Period. And the second half they adjusted a little better, but by that point it was too late. Like it was a tied game, or they were behind, so they had to then they couldn't stop the run worth of shit. I mean, I don't know, man.
All right, Callie, I get it. A win's a win, but if you also want the Packers to perform well against good teams and maybe do some damage in the playoffs, which we want to and should want, because what I don't want is another. Yeah, we get the record looks pretty good, and then you get to the playoffs and you get beat because you're not very good, because you got all these holes, you got all these problems, you got all this stuff. So that's kind of stuff we're all frustrated about, and we're talking about now to set a realistic expectation for Packer fans, because you should have a realistic expectation. Right now, I don't expect anything from this team except making the playoffs and losing in the first round.
Well, listen, if they win a playoff game, like if yesterday was a playoff game, I would be happy.
Sure. Right.
Understand what I'm saying? Like that's the difference. Yeah. In the playoffs, a win is a win is a win. Yes.
Right.
In the regular season, wins are important. Don't get me wrong. But when you see things that occur multiple times over and over and you don't see a change, or in this case, where you've seen the Packers play pretty good against other rushing quarterbacks, and they just kind of were like, we'll play man coverage against Caleb Williams, even though he's a rookie who, I would think that if you're doing crazy zones and dropping out and dropping in and changing the looks before and after the snap, that would probably mess his ass up. They didn't do it.
I don't get it. That is weird.
And I know they were thinking if we play man coverage, then that'll. Well, I don't know. They were thinking that maybe their blitz would get there faster. I don't know. But the Bears also they had a lot of plays where Caleb Williams was getting the ball out of his hand really fast.
Right.
Those wide receiver screens, stuff like that, which, of course, we don't have the corner, Rasul Douglas, anymore, who can cover that wide receiver screen. We have Valentine, who gets blocked constantly. And I'll say this, Roma Dunze did a great job blocking for DJ Moore on a bunch of plays.
Yeah.
And the Bears wide receiver, now, Keenan Allen, he didn't block worth shit, but Roma Dunze did a great job blocking. And that's one of those things where everybody's talking about, I think you need to get into it. Everybody's talking about Jair and Matt LaFleur. Did you see his face when they asked him on Monday or Tuesday, whatever, press about Jair and what's going on with the injury? And he was like, "Oh yeah, well, we knew about it." And they're like, "Well, because they apparently elevated Rochelle from the practice squad to be on the 53-man roster, but he wasn't an active player. So they wasted an elevation for Rochelle to give Jair a chance to play. And then after like 10 plays, he took himself out of the game. Now, that's not what LaFleur said. LaFleur said we took him out of the game. But
is that what he said?
That's what he said. He said, yeah, we had to take him out of the game or some crap like that. But but Valentine is not a tough guy. He's not going to tackle anybody. And Jair is not going to tackle anybody. Let's hear what he says. You got it?
Let's hear what he said. Look
at his face. Is that the Jair question? That looks like the Jair question on his face right there.
Here comes our good friend.
He don't want to talk about it.
Friend of the show, Bill. What's his name? Bill Huber.
Did Jair aggravate something yesterday, or he just couldn't play like he wanted to?
Yeah, he didn't feel like he could play, so we pulled him.
Matt,
So
hold on, Jason gets more into.
I know Willie gets into the stuff that you said.
He goes after him some more.
Yeah, right. But do we really? Okay, fine.
From our perspective, this is a tough subject to ask questions about, because I don't ever want to question a guy's toughness or commitment or anything like that. When you
watch LaFleur's face when he asks this question,
you guys obviously went through a process to make the decision on whether to have him active. How problematic is it when he's not able to continue? And is it
well, that's always a risk. I knew that going into it. So, he was on a pitch count regardless, and those other guys were well aware that they were going to have to play. But we just felt like it was better to have them for a limited period. Now you just was hoping we could get through it and keep them on a pitch count and then pull them. But didn't work out that way.
You're probably muted.
I wasn't trying to say anything.
Oh,
Look,
well, it's your guy, Jair, your favorite guy.
It's my
This
guy.
is your chance. You've been talking about him all the last 2 years and longer.
How good? How valuable is he? How valuable is he? So you go. Here's the confusing part to me. You go through all the time he had off, right? Because he injured himself on a play that he didn't make right at the end of the Jaguars game or whatever, right? He injured himself by just running or jumping in the air. Okay. No one touched him, hurt himself, I guess. Then he's out for the Detroit game. Then he's out, then we have the bye week. Then we come back and Jair's back, the blanket's back, all this stuff. And then he's on, you presumably go through a bunch of testing to make sure that you're actually ready and available, because that's what they do with these guys now. A bunch of them, especially at the skill positions, they do not, if they're iffy or questionable or they're really, they might not be okay. We're just going to be cautious and we're not going to play them, right? They're out another week. We're giving them another week off. Fine. I don't agree with it. I want to see more guys that play through some stuff, but we have heard from Jair and others that they won't come back till they're 100%.
Well, it's just Jair and, of course, Devondre Campbell were the two who said that. Those
Okay.
were the only two that actually outright said it.
Okay.
Either in a tweet or publicly to people.
Right.
The only two guys who actually said those words are those two players. Now, one of them is no longer here, and the other one might as well not be here because he never plays. So who cares?
So you go through all of that. You make the decision on who's active on game day. You do warm-ups and all this other stuff, right? Aren't you testing this out to see if you can actually perform? If this is, you feel like you can't be out there? Jair, oh, no, a couple plays, I just can't do it. They're blocking me too hard. They're throwing these quick screens where I have to tackle. Is that what happened versus him actually being hurt? Because that's what it appeared to me. And Baby took himself out and he's useless again. And I don't want to hear he's good. He's not. What is he good at? What is he good at? How does he impact the game? He does in a positive way for you. He doesn't. He doesn't shut down guys. He doesn't take guys out of the game. He doesn't tackle anybody.
He certainly doesn't tackle anybody.
And at least I'll give this to Carrington Valentine. He's a skinny little runt, but he tried to tackle. He tried putting some shots on people and knocked himself back a couple times. But at least he tried. At least he stuck his nose in there and gave it a shot.
Yeah.
I don't know. The guy is just another
I think
waste of money. It's another one of these big contracts paid to a guy. And so help me, Ben, if they give this guy another contract,
they won't.
I'm going to lose it. I will lose it.
He will be gone after this year. Now he's still under contract next year.
Yep. For a lot of money.
It is, but they actually saved like $6 million by cutting him. Now he'll be the classic, $19 million on the salary cap or some bull crap where we're, paying him for not being on the team. But we've already paid David Bakhtiari all that, Aaron Rodgers all that, Zaire Smith all that, Aaron Jones this year. Savage was even getting paid this year right now, like $4 or $5 million for not being on the team. So because they took his contract from last year and turned it into a $1 million base salary, and then did the whole ghost years for 4 years after to try to save cap on the from last year to cover the Aaron Rodgers cap expense. So that's fine. But to be honest, I think Matt LaFleur's face tells you all you need to know. Like he's sick of him. I think he was sick of him last year. I think they're all sick of him.
I said he's an elite player because someone said, well, how does that change when he's available? Well, you're talking about an elite player at his position. Really?
This might be the first player in Packer history, I think, ever. And it's not just you, Jason, who is talking like this now. I think probably 70% of Packer fans
really
are they're not as aggressive as you in the talk, but they all are feeling kind of the same way. They're kind of like, Jair is not worth the headache. I mean, he's like Aaron Rodgers again.
Or the money, because he never plays.
Yes. Well,
at least Rodgers played.
Yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is, I don't think I've ever seen a Packer before who was as popular as Jair. And because I can remember when we would, like last year and the year before, the 2 times he went to Packer practice, and Jair was the first guy out, and the fans went crazy for him, and he was cheering and talking and waving to the folks, and people were going Jair, and people love him, people loved him, and I think more and more fans who really watch the game closely, not just your go Packers when the defense is go Brett, when the defense is on the field, that kind of fan. They don't know shit. I'm talking the ones who know stuff. I think they're kind of fed up with Zach too. And I can't think of another Packer who was that popular. I mean, he was probably a top 5 popular Packer at one point. Because he made some crazy, like when he tackled freaking Diggs into Thielen or Thielen into Diggs.
Started off with a bang. And
he freaking screwed up that one play and then decided to blitz anyways and sack and get a safety on Kirk Cousins in the week 1 of the 2020 season when it was in the COVID season. And, there's nobody in the stands in the Minnesota, and it was a crazy game and it was a crazy play. And I mean, he had so many cool big plays. He was so aggressive and he did so many cool things that, like, he was one of my favorite fit players. I talked him up, but I can't do it anymore. I cannot watch this guy who doesn't tackle, doesn't cover, doesn't want to be out there. I don't even know what he's doing half the time. He runs weird. He's not fast. People say he's fast. He's not fast.
No.
So I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that before, as far as like a guy who fell so far, who was so high, besides Aaron Rodgers, of course, but that's different. Rodgers was just the douchebag, and Jair is just, I'm talking his play has fallen, as well as, it's not just like the antics, it's the play has fallen.
Yeah, because he's been relatively quiet this year. I mean, he says dumb stuff once in a while, but he's not been like disruptive that way. He's just not an impactful player. And he's getting paid to be an impactful player. Number one, when he's in the game, he doesn't really do anything that changes the game. And number two, he's hardly in the game because he's just not available.
So apparently, nobody wants to talk about the Packers right now. They want to talk about
that's fine.
The Rodgers. They want to talk about the worst 49ers loss. They all suck, Cali Packer. Every damn one. Colin Kaepernick's running all over us twice.
Yeah.
Freaking Jerry Rice fumbled, but they didn't call it a fumble. Bullshit. The last time we saw the Packers in the playoffs in the NFC Championship game, where you block a punt and somehow they return it, and that's how they win. And Rodgers played like dog piss.
The 14 Seahawk loss. Yep.
The one where Zadarius Smith just wasn't ready for the game. We just weren't ready. We weren't ready for a fucking playoff game.
Doesn't make
Zadarius
sense.
Smith wasn't ready. He just wasn't ready. And then they asked Aaron Jones. Zadarius Smith said you guys weren't ready. And Aaron Jones like, I was ready. Yeah, you were ready, Aaron Jones.
All right. Quick follow-up here. Just Cali Packer. Love you, appreciate you, but I just want to clear this up for you. We've gone through
the numbers.
Jair's numbers, his target numbers. He gets plenty of targets. He gets targeted plenty. He does not shut down a team. Guys don't stay away from throwing at him. And actually, in the last couple of seasons, when he's actually been in the game,
they go after him.
They do throw at him over especially if it's Nixon on the other side, they'll throw at him.
Or Rasul.
So, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure, Rasul. Side note, I did watch the Bills and Chiefs part of that game, and the Bills defense looks awesome. Like, they got pass rush. They got the corners. Their safeties are crazy and fly around and make a bunch of plays.
Which is weird because they were known for safeties before, and they lost both of those guys, and now their young safeties are kicking butt. So
I know that's pretty cool.
Hey.
So I hope maybe the Bills can get it done this year. You never know if the Packers aren't going to be in the mix. All right, since we're already on some other topics before we get back to Packers. Or do you want to finish on some more defensive notes or go into this?
Well, I just want to say, I want to talk some more defense because...
All right. Do you feel like the pass rush was effective? Because guys are also thinking Rashawn Gary got doubled a lot, and he had one
Gary didn't get doubled.
He had one great bull rush, right? Where he got the sack at an important time of the game. Don't get me wrong, but that was very Zadarius Smith-like.
Yes.
Right? Because... Yes. You didn't see him do much the whole game, and then all of a sudden, one time we make a play, have that splash play, and then we're a great player again, right?
Right.
No, I mean, there's one great play, but I want to see many great plays and consistent pressure from Rashawn Gary. We don't get it.
I have one word to say, one thing to say. Kenny Clark, for 2 games in a row,
Ooh.
played 30-some snaps or more and had 0 stat line. No pressures, no hurries, no tackles, no sacks, no nothing. At least there wasn't any penalties on him this time. But he's fucking useless. Like, why is he even out there? The other thing, people are getting all over Inigbare because he got in there a couple times and missed Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is little and fast. What do you want him to do?
He's not little, though. He's pretty big and fast.
He ain't that big. He's like 6'2". Or not even 6'1".
What?
He's not that big. Caleb Williams he's not that big. He looks like a tiny little runt.
I'm looking it up. You keep going.
I look it up. All I know is this. Kingsley Inigbare at least gets back there. But he does miss too many damn tackles. Same thing with Devontae Wyatt. Devontae Wyatt schools this guy and gets in the backfield and misses guys all the time. They can't tackle worth a shit. I don't know what their problems are. It's like we either have guys who can get penetration who can't tackle. Then we have guys who can't get penetration and also can't tackle, Kenny Clark. And then we have guys who can't get penetration but can tackle, TJ Slayton. And then luckily we have one guy, Carl Brooks, who can do both things because he's actually good.
Damn, you're right. He's only 6'1".
I told you, he's not that big.
6'1", but he's 216. He's not a little runt. He's like
that's
built pretty well.
That's
216 at 6'1" is not bad, especially for a quarterback.
Well, I'm 5'11" and 217, so
don't get me wrong. He ain't no Malik Willis, but he's
we haven't gotten that far. Okay, I don't want to go too long tonight. So that's all I'm saying.
Defensive line.
The defensive line sucks. Yes. Does not get penetration. Yes, except for some guys do get penetration, and then they don't make the play. And then the other problem is there's no pursuit speed. Like, we don't have anybody who's fast on the D line. Nobody. Except for Devontae Wyatt. He's the only fast guy. But he's getting double teamed and have to run through the muck to try to get to someplace. And our guys who don't have to run through the muck, like Rashawn Gary, Kingsley Inigbare, they're not as fast as these quarterbacks nowadays. This isn't like Clay Matthews, like screaming with his hair on fire, then sleeping through guys and then making the tackle. No, doesn't happen anymore. We don't have that type of guy anymore. I think Brenton Cox is probably the closest guy to that. And maybe Mosby, he looks pretty fast, but he used to play safety. So maybe he is fast. Maybe those guys are the two that need to play. But the other thing is this, the Bears were smart. This new offensive coordinator was like, hey, we're not going to hold the ball too long. Mm-hmm. Caleb Williams got the ball out before 2 seconds every time. And the Packers didn't adjust in the whole first half.
So I have a question about that situation. Because you mentioned the Packers did a lot of blitzing. I don't know for sure. I just saying that I watched the first drive and there was blitzes. There was blitzes and there was like stunts. Like they were doing stunts with 2 slow guys. And they didn't even get past the line of scrimmage and the ball was already gone. Like nothing happened. It wasn't like when you do a stunt with 2 slow D tackles, seconds, and the problem is they did these stunts, and when they do the stunts, they're taking away their gap penetration or their gap responsibility, whatever that's called. You know what I'm talking about, right? Rush lane responsibility, right? They're taking away that, and then now they're giving escape routes to the quarterback by doing these stupid stunts. And even though they blitzed 6 guys, right? They had 2 guys blitzing from the outside, and then they did stunts in the middle on this one play I'm talking about. It left a huge gaping hole for Caleb Williams to get out and get away. And you might say, well, they were playing man on the outside and nobody was open, and that's true. But all the defensive backs had their backs to the quarterback. They didn't know that he was running. And if you would have guys who don't have pursuit speed, and you're playing and you're trying to do stunts and stuff when you're playing man coverage, and you have no spy, that was the biggest thing. They should have had a spy. Mm-hmm. Like send 5 guys and then leave 1 quarterback spy if you're playing man coverage. That's how you play. Leave a spy in the middle of the field. They didn't do it until maybe later in the game. I don't know, because they got better later in the game. But in the first half, they couldn't stop them. Yeah, and that's the biggest difference. So it's not like they sucked really bad. It's that the Bears were smart. Like, no offense, Packer fans, but the Bears, this new offense coordinator guy was pretty smart. They got the ball out of their hand quick. They weren't screwing around. Mm-hmm.
And they just neutralized their whole defensive line, even though they haven't been getting penetration all year, except for, of course, the Titans game. But the Bears are smart. The Bears are smart.
The Bears were, but again, we talked early in the show about we didn't see any of those like 8-man fronts and then peeling guys off and trying to confuse Williams and going into zones.
Yep.
We saw some blitzing with man coverage. We saw some 4-man rush, but we didn't see any of that stuff to try to confuse the rookie, which didn't make sense. The other big glaring, as I watched the game, the other big glaring thing to me that just drove me crazy was, okay, the Bears have demonstrated to you it's a bunch of quick game. It's a bunch of short passes, getting the ball out quick. And you, and then in a lot of those cases, you're blitzing guys. So then why is the coverage so soft? Why, when you know they're going to make it quick, you're also blitzing to help create the quick pass in some cases. Why are your defensive backs 5-6 yards off?
Well, I think
I don't get it.
This is what happened, I think. That first drive, they weren't. They were playing man coverage and being really tough. And then they couldn't stop Caleb Williams from running. So then they played off a little bit to keep your eye. They're still playing man coverage, but to keep your eye on the quarterback too, right? And get the initial look and see what's happening with the fronts. And then the Bears were smart enough to run quick routes and quick out routes and stuff right in front of everybody, which took advantage of the fact that now but the Packers' front line and defensive pass rush was still the same. They still tried doing the same crap that they were doing when they were playing man coverage, but they were playing like a little. It wasn't really zone; it was like a match zone, right, where the guy sits in a spot, and then when the guy comes to him, then he covers him. Well, if you're 7 yards off, and the guy runs a 5-yard out route, he's already open. Like Keenan Allen's wide open a bunch of times.
Yep.
And so that's what happened. So it wasn't like we were dumb. Well, we were dumb, but like they schooled us when we played man because we could not keep our gap. If the guys would have did, like, you notice when we got those last 2 sacks at the end of the game there, well, at least the one, Gary just went in there and smacked them. But like the other one, when TJ Slayton got it, it was just everybody just kind of collapsed it. Like if you notice, they had Kenny Clark and TJ Slayton, and they just had him push the pocket, right? And the other 2 guys just kind of split it out, right? And they kept Caleb Williams in the mess. So he had to come forward, and then TJ Slayton shed the block and made the tackle. And that worked. And that was what they need to do if they play man coverage in the back, right? That's the only way to do it. But they were playing zone at that point, which is why they gave up the big 17 yards on third and 19, which allowed them to do the 4th down, which then get that, and then all that sort of stuff. So it was the Bears were one step ahead the whole game. We tried this, it didn't work. Then they switched and tried this other thing, and the Bears were one step ahead. They knew that we were going to switch, and they freaking did it right. And I don't know. We don't have the players aren't good enough in certain spots. Corners one, right?
Yeah.
D-line's one.
Yeah.
Linebacker is another one. Like I said, I love Edger Cooper. I love his speed. I love his aggressiveness. It's not great in coverage. He's fast, but he's not great in coverage. He doesn't like anticipate throws or go to where guys are when they're open to cut it off right away as soon as the pass is caught. Right, like McDuffie, people give McDuffie crap because he's got a lot of the percentage of catches on him is very high. But I want you to look at I would like to see what the average yards after catch against McDuffie is. I bet you it's like nothing, right? I bet you it's like 2 yards or something. You know what I mean? Not even like 2 yards. I'm not saying average 2 yards. I'm saying 2 yards like all season average catch after, or except for that one wheel route against them with Saquon Barkley, who's a number 2 overall pick or whatever in the first round, and McDuffie's a 6th round pick. So give me both, fuck you if you think that you're going to be able to cover him on a wheel route, especially when Xavier McKinney didn't get his ass over to help covered. And that's the other guy I want to talk about.
Okay.
Since we're going defense, this is going way too long. But
to me, it was just confusing when your rush doesn't, your coverage doesn't match your rush, doesn't complement your rush. If you're going to try to apply pressure, then you would expect the ball to come out quick and the guy should be uptight and maybe trying to jump a route. But if you're not, those things should work together, and they just didn't work together all day. And I think that was part of the problem. But Xavier McKinney, what do you see about him?
Well, I mean, dude,
he's not a good tackler, and he's not an aggressive tackler.
Not only is he not a good tackler, he's not good in space. I mean, he looked like Ha Ha Clinton or Darnell Savage out there.
Oh, come on.
That one touchdown run, He is literally 1 yard from the sideline.
Yeah.
And Swift, who is on his like 4th team, like this guy can't even stay on a team for like a year. Like the Detroit Lions gave up on him, the Eagles gave up on him, whoever else gave up on him. The Bears, he landed up with the sorry Bears. He did a juke to the sideline where there's only like a yard of space between him and going out of bounds. Just keep running straight at him, and Xavier freaking got fooled. And then he cut it back inside, and Xavier fell on his ass like a chump ass bitch.
Yeah.
And then the guy ran for a touchdown. That's pathetic. That's pathetic. He's not. He had 6 picks, and they were against Jalen Hurts, who threw it right at him for some dumb reason when he was in the end zone and he got scared or something.
No. That was Jair's pick. His pick against the Eagles was a good read. Like he actually two of his interceptions, he made good reads and adjusted to the ball. The other ones were kind of just thrown up there and pretty.
I don't know, but his picks were against Anthony Richardson, Hurts, Will Levis.
Yep.
I mean, name the shittiest quarterbacks in the NFL. That's who his picks were against. It's not like he was great.
Just remember that
his play as far as a tackler and other stuff.
Yeah.
I just don't like. And people are like, he's defensive player of the year. Oh, he's so great. He's so good. I'm not saying he's bad. What I'm saying is, whenever the Packers either draft a 1st-round pick or sign a free agent, they got to be like, he's the greatest thing ever. He's not the greatest thing ever. He's just not. Also, real quick, did you watch Saquon Barkley last Thursday night against the Eagles, or the Eagles against the Commanders?
No, I didn't see him.
Oh my God! The Eagles paid Saquon Barkley $12 million a year. What do we pay Josh Jacobs? I mean, if we're gonna cut Aaron Jones for somebody, can we cut him for a freaking monster like Saquon Barkley? Like, how do we not get that guy? That's the guy we should have got. I mean, don't get me wrong. Josh Jacobs had a good game. He's a try hard guy. He does his best, but he's not dynamic.
No.
Saquon Barkley is like a freaking monster, and he's faster than lightning. It's crazy. Now, he got hurt a lot, probably because he was on your fantasy football team and you freaking screwed him a bunch.
Yep.
But other than that, this year he looks like a freaking monster. Now, he's got one of the best offensive lines in front of him. Don't get me wrong. But that's the guy they should have signed. If you're going to go out, just sign both Giants. Screw it. They should have signed the safety and the running back from the Giants if you're going to give up on Aaron Jones. Don't get me wrong. Josh Jacobs at this point on offense, probably the most consistent thing we have.
Yeah.
Which is sad. But also the most consistent thing we have on the offense is him.
And I've been impressed with his durability too. I'll just point out, you mentioned
played every play.
You mentioned Will Levis making him look good. Just remember that Will Levis is the only quarterback in the history of Jair Alexander's career that has thrown him a pick 6. Just remember that. So that shows you what he is. Yeah. All right. So that's the defense. On to offense. I know it wasn't great. I know there were things that certainly weren't good, but they made some play. But Christian Watson made some crazy ass plays, and that was nice to see. I don't know that they were, well, especially the one in double coverage certainly wasn't the best throw or idea. Well,
I saw Christian Watson's interview, and he said that he put his hand up.
Oh, he did?
On that, yeah. And then he was like, because he beat his guy, but then he looked and saw that the safety was back there, and he was like, "Oh crap!" He's like, "Yeah, he won't throw it." And then he did throw it, and he was like, "Oh shit!" So then he so he had to like run and go, like try to make sure he made the play. But now he didn't jump for that ball.
He let it come.
We got lucky that the D back in front of him just didn't have his arm in the right spot. It went right through, and but he did catch it securely between two dudes and held on, and he did his best. And somebody said this year he's the only Packer receiver who does not have a drop on the year.
Wow. Okay,
that's great.
Yeah, good.
I don't think he's been targeted very much, but still, compared to Christian Watson the last 2 years, who's a drop monster, that's good news. That's very good news for us. So, I was very happy. I'm happy for Christian Watson. He's a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
But even on those plays, like he's so he's just like, he is not like coordinated. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not physically, he doesn't have agility. Like he doesn't, he's not able to, like, once he starts trip, like he's falling over,
He's definitely not shifty.
No,
But
and he doesn't have
he is
body
talented.
awareness and all that kind of stuff. But he does have incredible speed, and he's been catching balls. And I think he scares the defense, and that's all good things. This
Mhm.
game could only help the Packers offense and
Yeah.
scare the opponent's defense a little bit.
Yeah.
But as far as the offense, I mean, Jordan Love only threw like, what did he like
17 passes.
17 passes, or he completed
'cause
17 passes.
No, he threw 17, completed 13. The week before, he threw 39 passes against the Lions in a crappy rainy game. In this game, where it was good weather, he threw 17 passes. But
Well, he should have only threw 16 because then he wouldn't have had a pick.
the run game was good. Josh
Oh,
Jacobs is
yeah. We're still in the passing game.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm just pointing out the positives here. So
No, I got to go into the Jordan Love because I was told
Jordan
to
Love.
lay off Jordan Love in the comments last week.
You were Jordan Love.
Oh, yeah. Or somebody was told. It must have been me because I was telling everybody that Jordan Love sucks. I don't think he sucks. I didn't say he sucked. I'm just saying, hey, he's not as good as you think he is, and I just wish people would stop putting him up on this pedestal when he's just not good. But yeah, he did put his hand up double cut. Yeah, it's Christian, but he's a smart guy. He's not a dumb guy. I think he beat his guy and he's like, yeah. And then he looked up and he's like, oh crap, safety's there. And so, but anyways, that Tucker Kraft wide open. And he didn't even throw it off his back foot. It was just crappy pass, way too high. Like, now I don't know. I need to watch the film back because I want to see like maybe the defensive line in front of him had their hands up or like, you know what I mean? Like maybe there wasn't like he's trying to throw it up and down. And he just put too much juice on it. Maybe that's what happened.
Sure.
And that stuff happens. I thought his decisions were pretty good. He did do his checkdowns well. He had a couple good moves. He moved much better in and out of the pocket. But just watching this game, you could see the difference between a athletic, like escapable quarterback and Jordan Love. Like Caleb Williams and Jordan Love with running with the ball, night and day difference there. Jordan Love does not scare anybody. Where Caleb Williams can scare you. If Jordan Love gets like pressure, he's getting sacked. Caleb Williams gets out of it and then runs around like a crazy guy and then does whatever he does. But that's all I'm going to say. I thought he did much better. So I want to just say to whoever left the comment last week, yeah, he's a little healthier. He played a little better.
Mm-hmm.
But he still had a bad throw a pick again in the red zone.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Let's take it. Like if that play didn't happen, I think the Packers would have creamed the shit out of the Bears. But these second quarter turnovers that Jordan Love keeps having are the things that turn the tide every week. And I don't know if anybody realizes this, but like the last 4 games have been field goal kick at the end of the game to win, field goal kick at the end of the game to win, destroying loss to the Lions, field goal block at the end of the game to win. Like we're not dominating teams. We're squeaking by the freaking skin of our teeth or getting creamed by the Lions, who are the best team in football. But still, it's not pretty. Okay. Yeah. So it's hard to be too pumped up when we're barely getting by. But like I said, a win is a win. That's great. If we can get in the playoffs, that's all we need. And then any type of win is great in the playoffs. I don't care how we look, as long as we keep winning.
Because it's a 1-game thing and anything can happen, right? That's the way it goes.
So yeah, so that's all I want to say about Jordan Love. I just want to say, hey, he looked better.
William G was here earlier, and he said it. He said it last week or 2 weeks ago. He said it again. Yeah, 7-3, but still hard to have much confidence because they're not playing great. There's still a lot of holes, a lot of deficiencies, a lot of things that can be exploited. But let's see. JJ thought gives him credit for fixing penalties, but turnovers need to stop. Well, yeah. I mean, the other thing with the turnovers and with Jordan Love is this was a weird game because the possessions were so few.
Well, that's because the defense couldn't stop the Bears.
Right. And because the Packers, I mean, there is something though, too. These teams play, so they don't go out of bounds a lot. They don't stop the clock a lot. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of clock stopping plays, I should say. Because I watched some other games where there's a lot more clock stoppages, and it seems like the Packers don't have many.
Well, that's because they don't have Aaron Rodgers, who's only throws to the sidelines.
Yeah, but he runs so much time off the play clock that it kind of counteracts.
Right, that's true. Well, not really. If you're always running to the sideline, I mean, how many times do you throw the guys on the sidelines? It stops the clock.
So very few possessions. So when you have a turnover, I mean, that is a big deal.
It's a big deal.
I don't even know if Matt LaFleur buys his explanation for going for it on
Yeah, that
fourth
was
down and 6
stupid.
when you can kick a field goal and go
You'd be
ahead.
down by 2 points. No, you wouldn't have gone ahead, but you would have been down by 2 points. They were down by 5, and he decided to go for it on 4th and 6.
Okay.
Because it was 19-12.
Okay.
Because then they scored a touchdown later to make it 2019. They went for 2 and missed.
Right.
So it was they were down by 5 points. They could have kicked a field goal and only been down by 2.
Right. And then
which
you
then would have
field goal to win potentially.
Yeah, right.
So, but his explanation was, well, there was only 11 minutes left in the game, and possessions had been so few and far between in the game. We'd had so few possessions that I just felt like we needed to go for it here. And I'm just thinking, 11 minutes? Like, if you don't expect to get the ball back, he didn't know they would get the ball back. If you don't expect to get the ball back in 11 minutes, then you're losing that game anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Kidding.
Like,
it was dumb. I don't care what anybody says. Take the damn points.
Yeah.
Like, maybe he had a flashback to the NFC game, the playoff game against Tampa Bay when he didn't let Aaron Rodgers go for it on 4th and 8 and he kicked the field goal. Maybe he had a flashback to that. He's like, oh, this is 4th and 6. That's even closer. I guess we'll go for it now. I don't know.
No.
But that's the other thing about Matt LaFleur I want to just bring up.
Yeah.
The whole game, he's like on the sideline yelling and screaming and firing up. And like, he looks like a guy who's out of control. Like, he looks like a guy who is just freaking out about shit constantly. Now, and I compare him to Eberflus, to you, I think. Or maybe I just thought I don't know if I ever said it to you, but now
he's not yelling. He's not yelling in like a fiery, pumped up way to get people.
No, he's like yelling at guys.
Bitchy, whiny.
He's whining at his coaches. He's yelling, but he doesn't yell at guys when they screw up on the field. He's just like yelling at the officials. He's yelling at his coaches. He's yelling at dumb stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, but it looks like a guy who's just like, when you start doing stuff like that, that shows to me you don't have the answers.
Right.
Like, I think back to the Super Bowl with what we talked about last week, actually, or maybe a couple weeks ago, when the Seahawks passed it on the 1 yard line and Bill Belichick was on his headset and all of his coaches were like, Coach, you want to call a timeout? Coach, you got to call a timeout, because they thought they were going to just score and then they need to get the ball back and give Tom Brady at least 40 seconds to try to get some, score again. And Belichick was watching the sideline and he was very calm and he was like, no. And he just let it go. He just let the Seahawks do their thing, because he was calm and watched his opponent and looked how disheveled and crazy they were. And he was like, nah, I'm not going to give them call a timeout and give them a chance to collect themselves. I'm going to let them screw this up. And he did. Now, Eberflus, on the other hand, was very calm the whole game. And I think that's because he was on a sinking ship and he was worried. He played not to lose the game, which is what he did at the end of the game, where he just let the play clock go all the way down to 3 seconds. Like, that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. That was even dumber than Matt LaFleur going for it on 4th down, but that's besides the point. So, and I try to compare it to Eberflus, but like, I don't think it's quite fair, because Eberflus is on a team where I think he has lost the team. Yeah. So even if he yells and screams, no one's going to listen to him. So it's totally different. But my point is, when you're that crazy, animated, and losing stuff, I think you're missing so much, right?
Sure.
When you're focused and you're able to just kind of observe and keep yourself calm, that's when you're the best. That's when you can actually, you're aware of everything around you. Because when you're aggressive and yelling and screaming and it's all reactionary to things that have already happened. You're not looking to the future. You're not coming up with a plan. You're not seeing what's happening. You're complaining about crap that's already happened. And that's what I've seen from Matt LaFleur during this point. I think he doesn't have the answers when things go wrong. That's why we always say, he's like, oh, I don't know. We were behind, so I had to pass. That's what they said against, for the Lions game, right? You don't have to do that. If you're in control of yourself and your team, I'm not saying he doesn't have control of the team. Like I think the team listens to him. I just think he doesn't quite have like control of his emotions and stuff. He just kind of like flies off the handle. And then he challenged he challenged something where Jordan Love when he almost ran for the touchdown or something. It was like, it would have been first and goal from the 1 inch line. Like, why challenge it? Just go.
Exactly.
Now, maybe it's because he's worried about their, red zone offense is shit. Maybe he didn't think they could get in there in 4 tries. But that's just something I thought was interesting to me. As we're just watching the game, I was like, man, he's really freaking out about stuff. And I don't think it's good luck. That's all I'm saying. Like, when you compare it to other coaches, I don't see very many. Like I've seen guys get fired up and like, oh, fire, like Mike Tomlin and even Robert
Tomlin's
Saleh.
awesome.
And Robert Saleh gets fired up and but they fire up the guys, right?
Yeah.
They're not like yelling at the coaches and freaking out. They're yelling at the officials and crap like that. So I don't know. It's not a good look for me. I don't like it. I think he needs to take a chill pill during the game, because I think it's affecting his coaching. I think it's affecting his game.
His
coaching.
decision making. Yeah, sure.
I think it really is.
Sure, it would. If you're that upset or you're in your emotions that much, you're bound to make not the best decisions.
Yeah.
That's just
and
everything in life.
Sorry, and JJ saying like he doesn't hold his players accountable, and it's true. Like he's yelling at the refs, he's yelling at the coaches.
Yeah,
and but he's not getting all over the players when they screw up. Now they did much better. Somebody said something about the penalties in this game.
Mm-hmm.
They only had 3, and one of them was that bullshit flop that Caleb Williams did on the sideline.
Right. That was ridiculous.
That was a ridiculous play, but that was much better. Only 3 penalties, much better. Now maybe the guys just weren't calling them. Who knows? But still much better. But yeah, so I just thought that was interesting. And I hope he gets his crap together here, because I don't think you can be a Super Bowl winning coach when you're freaking out like that on the sidelines. You got to be cool. You got to, no matter what happens, you're the guy. Like if you're freaking out, your whole team's going to be freaking out. Xavier McKinney, when he screwed up on that play and got schooled by freaking Swift, goes to the sideline. He chucked his helmet. He took his iPad, was looking at it, freaking threw it all over or his Microsoft Edge or whatever it's called, chucked it on the ground. He looked just like a man on the floor.
Well, he was mad for a little bit, but then he
and some people are like, oh, that looks great. That he's fired up, and I like the passion, and that's great. He does care, and I like that about him. But do you think he'd be acting like that if Matt LaFleur wasn't freaking out and yelling all the whole time? I think if Matt LaFleur was calm, I think his players would be calm in that situation. That's all I'm saying. And that's one good thing about Jordan Love. Jordan Love is very calm most of the time. Even when he screws stuff up, he's like, hey, got to look past it and look to the next thing and be calm and be collected. And that's one good thing about Jordan Love. It's very, very good.
He's got 55 million reasons to stay calm, bro. Yeah,
well,
but anyway, I'm okay with that. A player doing that and showing that, because usually that's their way to get it out, get past it, and then move forward. But a coach just because the coach is constantly dealing with the next thing. And if you're always finding problems with the next thing and all the calls and something to bitch about, it's too much. Look, Cali Packers thinking we should only have 1 loss. Oh, man. Wow. Okay. Well, I don't know, Cali Packer.
Well,
there's definitely some games we should have lost.
If we would have started Malik Willis, we would have beat the Vikings. I don't think we would have beat the Lions with Malik Willis. But I think Love was definitely injured and played like dog shit against the Vikings, and that he was the reason why we lost that game. The Eagles game, Love kind of played that crap in that game too.
Yeah, he did.
And then he got hurt at the end, but so I don't know. I think the Eagles we lost, period, because we couldn't stop the run. They ran all over us. But that's just
Evan Williams was back. That was a good sign.
He was, but he got hammered by one of the Bears' offensive linemen on the play.
Yeah.
By the way,
dude, huge. What are you supposed to do?
Dude, you need to take 20 minutes out of your day. You need to do it and watch O-line committee. They take a look. They call it Bo Nix can play quarterback or something. It's like a 20-minute video where they break down plays of Bo Nix, but they love Quinn Miners. They're just going crazy for Quinn Miners, and the Denver's offensive line. They're just going nuts, and they're like, "Look at this guy! Oh my God! Look at this poor little." And there's one play where Quinn Miners, the linebacker, comes, and Quinn Miners is doing a pull, and he gets to the second level. And the linebacker's coming like, oh, he's not going to hit me that hard. And then they pause it right at the perfect time where Quinn just smacks him right in the chest. And both of his feet are off the ground. And he's flopping. He's like, yeah. Then they falls on the ground like he's dead. And they're like, get the chalk out. Stuff like that. Super. They love Quinn Miners. And by the way, somebody was talking about screen passes earlier in the chat here. Yeah. The reason why Matt LaFleur doesn't run screen passes is because the Packers' offensive line sucks at blocking for screen passes.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay? I can't think of one guy who's any good, except for maybe Zach Tom. Zach Tom's the only guy who maybe sometimes is pretty good at getting in the way and actually blocking somebody. But watch everybody here, everybody in the chat, take 20 minutes out of your time. Go find the O-line committee. It's the Bo Nix can play, some crap like that. They ran so many screen passes in that game. And I'm telling you, Quinn Miners, all these guys for the Broncos, their offensive line, so good. So good at getting to the second level. Their center got up and blocked 2 guys on one screen pass. It was awesome. Like they're just and then they kept saying, looking for work. Oh, look at this guy, he's looking for work. Just like Lukey Patrick always did.
Yeah.
So check if you have time. Seriously, it's a great watch to watch really good offensive line play, like really, really good offensive line play. Nice. And watch it, and then you'll see why the Packers can't run screens like those guys can. Like it was perfect offensive line play from these guys. The pocket Bo Nix had, so good. And then they're like their stunts against them, and like they're passing it off really well. Like so good. The old line of freaking Broncos is amazing. So everybody check that out.
They've invested picks and capital, and then they signed and then they invested money when those guys came up for contracts. They signed them back. Yeah, so they valued those guys.
But it's a great video, especially if you like offensive line play. So Jace, I know you love you should be watching it. It's really good, and I think you'll fall in love. You'll start watching O-line committee, or at least listen to them.
All right, I might have. I probably should start with some sort of new thing to watch because I don't watch Andy Herman anymore, and I don't watch.
Well, I still kind of watch, but I kind of don't.
Well, one thing I do
commercials. He starts a show, and then like within 10 seconds of the show starting, there's a commercial right away, and I'm like, what are we doing?
One of the things somebody brought up earlier is what we're gonna get to. Which
All right, let's do it.
Oh boy, the Jets, and so lots of things going on this week with the Jets, right? So
okay, yeah.
Number one, they lose again, go to 3-8. Rodgers still can't look anybody in the eye in his press conference at the end. Says he's all behind brick, but then, contradicts himself, some other stuff. He reacted to Mike Williams' tweet about red line, after he caught the game-winning play and all that. And
what was that? I don't know what happened there.
He's just like, he kind of laughed, it off a little bit and was like, I love Mike. Left it off. I love Mike.
What did Mike Williams say?
Mike Williams tweeted something about, good to be in a new place and something or other, catch the game winner. And then he had like hashtag something, hashtag red line. Nice. And then they brought that up to Rodgers because apparently he didn't see it. He didn't see it. So they brought it up to him and he kind of laughed it a little bit. And he's like, I love Mike. Yeah, because he always loves guys after he's no longer with him. Remember how he loved Mike McCarthy so much after?
And Robert Saleh, he loves Robert Saleh now, and his son, he's going to miss his son so much. Now he loves Joe Douglas.
Joe Douglas fired this week. And
he loves Joe Douglas so much.
And then the Athletic
because he let him do whatever he wanted.
And the Athletic reports come out that Woody Johnson wanted him benched. Yeah. Do you believe it? Did Woody Johnson? Well, he is a very reactive person. Do you think he wanted Rodgers benched? And the coach was like, we can't do that. You know what that'll do?
If that's true, then it ruins all my theories that Aaron Rodgers is the reason is running the show. And he's the one who fired Robert Saleh. And he's the one who's firing Joe Douglas. So if that is true, then it ruins everything. And it makes Aaron Rodgers look sympathetic and not the douchebag ass fuck that he is.
That's Rodgers. So Rodgers paid the Athletic to run that story so he could turn the narrative back to that. Because the real narrative is he had all of his guys brought in. They did all the things he wanted, I should say, tried to accommodate him in every single way. So at this point, with the coach gone, the GM gone, and everything not working, it is all the heat coming at him. So that is a move I could see him doing because he doesn't like the heat.
Well, a lot of people were saying, "Ooh, Joe Douglas got fired." And then all of a sudden, this article is written as if like Joe Douglas is the squeaker, but that would be dumb. I think what happened is Joe Douglas got fired, and then somebody who likes Joe Douglas told somebody about what happened. You know what I'm saying? Because they're still there. And now is their chance to be like, oh, this leak happened. And it could have been because it's something that happened weeks ago, right? In week 4 or after week 4, so it looks like, oh, Joe Douglas got fired. Then he went and told the Athletic, oh yeah, Woody Johnson he fired me, but F him because he wanted to freaking bench Aaron Rodgers after week 4. So what the hell is he talking about? He doesn't know anything either. So I don't know. if it's true, fine. I don't know. It seems like the Jets are a mess.
They
They were a
total-
mess anyways. They were going to be a mess anyways. It didn't matter. They sold their souls when they hired frickin' Hackett and went and frickin' flew to California and frickin' kissed the feet of the great delicate genius, as Mike Florio likes to say. They made a deal with the devil, and they're paying for it. It's fine. It's what you did.
And the only reason it's delayed is because he got hurt last year. Otherwise, all
All this would have happened last year. I mean, they're actually Jets fans should be happy. They had at least a year of
hope.
At least he got hurt, and then you could be like hope that maybe it would be good again.
Yeah,
they get a whole
false hope.
year to feel, and Rodgers had that whole year to be the hero after he was on Hard Knocks and blah 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 and all this crap, and everybody loved him. It's fine. I mean, what are you gonna do?
It's hilarious.
I don't care if it's true that Woody Johnson, suggested that they should bench him. I think it's funny.
I don't buy it. I don't.
Well, it might be because Rodgers is so against vaccinations and all that stuff. So he's, and that's what.
But Woody called him, and they had this nice conversation. And
that's what he said, and that's what right.
They say a lot. He says a lot of things. He says a lot of things. This feels to me more like a cover to get heat off of him, and maybe he and Woody agreed to it.
So you're saying that Rodgers is leaked that he got benched to make him look sympathetic, even though it's all a bunch of bullshit? Oh my God! Now that's another level. That's like an Aaron Rodgers conspiracy. You're almost as bad as Aaron Rodgers.
No, because that's who he is. That's who he's.
That's like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon right there, buddy.
It's no Bacon. This is who the man is. He has at every turn he has deflected all blame. And Ben,
maybe he wasn't to blame.
Who's left to blame at this point? They did everything. They got Alan Lazar. They even traded for Devontae Adams this year. They got Cobby. They got all these guys. All his guys he wanted. They even signed Billy Turner last year. Guys, they did all the things. And then, and they kept Hackett in place and all this stuff. Did all the things. And it's not working. And he's not playing well. And he looks old. But he also still looks like he's playing his dumb offense. It just doesn't work anymore. So all the heat's coming down on him. Everybody's saying this is all on Aaron Rodgers, even though the defense is playing. Why do you think the defense is playing bad? Why do you think a team that had a great defense and basically I know they lost some D-line guys, and that can certainly change your defense some. But why are the good players that were good established players also underperforming? Why are they not playing well or playing with heart?
Well, here's the reason. Sauce Gardner, in his first 2 years, held on every fucking play, and they didn't call it on him.
Yeah, well, sure.
And now he can't do it because they call it on him, and when he doesn't hold, he gets his ass kicked. And he also has an aversion to trying to tackle people, apparently, because now everybody's calling him Soft Gardner. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what happened.
I have a different theory. They fired his coach that he actually liked and played hard for.
Well, maybe.
And don't think that doesn't matter, especially the defensive guys that basically that was their coach when they got there. That was the guy that helped them get some success. That had them playing at a high level. I know that he wasn't the D coordinator anymore, but he was still very involved in that and also setting the tone, had relationships with the players. You bump him out. There's also just the Aaron Rodgers cancerous effect in a whole locker room, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's cancerous. It's just like Braylon Edwards was talking. Is that his name?
Braylon Allen. Yeah.
Braylon Allen. Okay. Braylon Allen. Who's Braylon Edwards? That's somebody. That's somebody else. No, it is. It's somebody. Receiver for the Browns. That took number 1 overall, and he sucked. That's what it was. Yep. Okay.
Out of Michigan. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Braylon Allen had an interview, and they were talking to him, and he was like, "Yeah, I just don't want to disappoint him. I just don't want to disappoint Rodgers." And I think that's what a lot of it is too. These young guys look at him like he's some kind of god or like some kind of like relic.
Aaron Rodgers got a football.
Got a football. Yeah. Those videos. Yeah. But it's like. And unfortunately, I don't know if it's toxicness as much as it's like Mike Florio said something today I listened to, and I agree with him. He said there's people when they walk into the room and they like bring like life to the room. when they walk in.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some people that are so big that when they leave the room, they bring life to the room. And he said like Tom Brady is one of those people who, when he walks into the room, he brings life to it. Right? And when Rodgers leaves the room, he sucks the air out of it. He sucks the life out of the room when he's in it. But then when he leaves, I take it back. When he leaves, that's when the life comes back. Because he's so, you know what, you don't want to offend him, you don't want to disappoint him, all this kind of stuff, right? Where Tom Brady was more of like, hey, everybody, like, get fired up and like, let's go. And he would yell at you, but he'd also, but he'd have your back, right? Like, he'd do things. One more thing real quick. Tom Brady, I thought he did much better calling this game than he did the last Packer game. Like, he's getting better he's still not very good, but he's still much better than he was the last time. So good for Tom Brady, though he is making a gazillion dollars to do.
We know he's not on the team, Callie. It's just fun because we knew all this was going to happen.
Yeah, we don't need to talk
about
it.
So we're just kind of enjoying all the
things
that happen would come true.
I have not watched the Bucs this year at all, so I don't know what's going on with them. But Bobby Portis is my favorite Buck, so I don't know if he's playing like crap. I don't know. It makes me sad if he is because he's my favorite.
Portis gets too many minutes. The Bucs' new guys are not gelling. It's not working out. Giannis is playing hard, but. Look,
is Lillard even playing?
He's
even
playing,
there anymore?
The hard part, I said this before, the hard part about Damian Lillard, and I said it to multiple people recently, I said to guys this weekend who were talking about it, is that he's 6'2", and he's old. Like, he is short, and it's hard to be a big-time scorer when you're short and be a consistent scorer, also because he likes to take a shot off his dribble versus embracing letting other guys be playmakers and him be more of a spot-up shooter role, which I think he's a good enough shooter that he could do that, and he'd get open looks where guys aren't in his face, but he doesn't seem to be that willing to embrace a spot-up shooter role where somebody else could kick it to him. He wants to shoot off, create his own shot. And the dude's short. He shot a bad percentage last year. He got blocked plenty of times. He's older now, and everybody's like, well, he was the main scorer in Portland. He scored like 30-some points a game in Portland all the time for all these years.
They lost.
But yeah, they lost a lot. He's younger then. Teams probably didn't guard him as hard because they're, beating the team anyway. So it's a different game in Milwaukee in this situation. Actually, and I had said before the season, I said early in the season that they should have moved on for Brook Lopez. The other night, he had a big game. He had like 29 points, double-digit rebounds, and hustled and set the tone for the team, and they played well. So I don't know. Maybe you need more guys like that who are older to like really show the effort and energy to pull the young guys along. But these offseason acquisitions that they had that they thought were going to be the difference makers on defense and help them on the wings and other stuff and help them with their shooting. So far, it ain't working out.
I haven't watched a single game.
It's not working out. And if it doesn't turn, like everybody's saying, not everybody, but a lot of people are speculating, well, Giannis is going to want to trade then. Giannis is going to leave, blah, blah. Giannis ain't leaving Milwaukee. Milwaukee is his city. He knows it. He's the biggest star in the city. He's grown up there. He grew up there, right? He was 18 years old when he got to Milwaukee. He was a kid. Like, why would he want to leave that place? He's not into the big nightlife. He's not into the big city stuff, the stars and all this. He likes being the big dog in his city, Milwaukee, which it is. And he likes connecting with the fans. He's not going anywhere. Is he going to be upset if they're not winning? Yeah, but he's not going to leave. So don't worry about that. All right, that's all I know about the Bucs. That's what we know about the Packers, and the Jets are falling apart. Poor Jets.
Yep, Jets suck.
Who's next? We'll find out. Okay.
One thing about Matt LaFleur.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
One thing about Matt LaFleur, he said, I thought was odd.
He says some odd things.
He said that he wasn't ready for the Bears' Red 2 defense.
Oh.
And what Red 2 defense is apparently cover 2 defense in the red zone. So 2 safeties back, which tells me run the fucking ball, you dumbass.
Yeah.
Instead of doing a reverse or whatever the hell that was to Jaden Reed, which lost 5 yards. I mean, I don't know. And they're calling play. I need to look at the plays. I haven't looked at the film. I'm sorry, everybody. Usually I look at the film and I got video for you, and well, I haven't had time. So, but apparently he was just perplexed by this red 2 defense. Well, guess what? You're going to see the red 2 defense now every time if you're so perplexed about it that you're talking about it in press conferences and that you can't figure it out. And that's why nobody was open for Jordan Love, and why he had to run on that 3rd down, and then he had to run again on the 4th down and not get there when he went for it on 4th and 6, because nobody was open, because this red 2 defense covers everybody. And I don't know what the problem is. I don't know what he's doing. The other thing, remember what I think it was last week we talked about this, or 2 weeks ago. I talked about playing more wide receiver sets and spread out the defense and stop freaking playing with all these big guys and clogging it all up. And what did they do? Clogged it all up every time, and you run for nothing because our offensive linemen are not guys who can road grade and get freaking penetrate or get, getting things going. Dad, whatever. I learned it by watching you or listening to you. So, but how many times have you, like these guys aren't maulers. They're agility offensive linemen. So get them into space. Play more receivers. And some of our receivers are really good blockers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's dumb. And he keeps running these plays,
right,
or these formations with everybody all bunched all together. And then then he runs into it, and then they get smacked. And there's penetration because their guys suck. Or he tries doing like a pull Elton Jenkins around the side. Well, he doesn't get there in time. And then boom, we're getting creamed in the backfield because we didn't. The same thing that happened with Cox, right? The guys was coming around and get him. He wasn't there fast enough. Cox goes in the back, gets tackled for loss. Same thing happens to us when we do that same dumb crap because our guys aren't fast enough to get there or good enough. And it's too condensed. Spread them out. Especially if they're doing a cover 2 defense against you, that means the 2 safeties are not even in the box. Or better yet, have your big formation guys, and then spread your tight ends out. And see what the defense does instead of having everybody so packed up. Our tight ends aren't a good block. Are they? I mean, they're okay blockers, but they're not road graders. They're getting creamed too. Yeah,
I like it.
I mean, what are we doing, man? Before it ain't that hard to figure out. God,
right? Especially when you haven't been successful doing it the other way. And you would think too, if you created a little space, and you got some smaller guys in there, or some of the big guys pulled away from in tight. Josh Jacobs is a physical runner, right? Like even if somebody meets him with an arm tackle somewhere, if it's just one guy, he could probably still run through it and get in there, get a couple yards. But if you got a bunch of penetration and big guys blowing up the play before he even gets there, he's done. He's not shifty enough or quick enough to get out of that mess and make something out of it. It's just not going to happen. So you have to take a different approach. It's not that hard to figure out. I don't know why the coaches haven't figured it out.
It's dumb. And the fact that the Bears ran this cover 2 defense in the red zone means they're not at all afraid of the Packers running game, even though people have said all year, the Packers are one of the best running teams in the league. Well, that was when they had Malik Willis, who also scared the defense in the run. With Jordan Love, there is no scaring that he's going to run the ball. I mean, he had the quarterback sneak for a rushing touchdown. That was it. But come on. So these are just simple things that need to happen.
JJ's thinking Packers need a real center. That Myers stinks at run blocking. Myers stinks at all blocking.
Well, but who our weakest graded offensive player is, our weakest graded offensive lineman in the running and run blocking according to PFF for the season. You know who it is?
Sure, Elton Jenkins.
Yes, Elton Jenkins has a 47% whatever run blocking grade.
And that's saying something because Rasheed Walker ain't that good at run blocking. But
he has a higher run blocking grade for the year than Elton Jenkins has.
Wow.
Our best is Sean Ryan for sure.
Yeah.
But our worst is Elton Jenkins, who's our highest paid guy. And he's a guard who's supposed to be good at run blocking. That's what guards are supposed to be good at. At least that's what they were back in the old days when you had Adam Timmerman and guys like that.
We pay a lot of money. The Packers pay a lot of money to guys for very little impact. It's just crazy.
Okay.
Isn't it crazy that the team's like competitive
Yes,
and
it
pretty
is.
successful when a bunch of their money is tied up in these guys who don't perform? And then you look at like the Lions. Okay, they paid Amon-Ra a bunch of money, but guess what? That guy performs every freaking week. And he always plays. I mean, when you invest money in somebody, they got to perform. And the Packers somehow stay competitive, even though the majority of the guys that give the big bucks to don't perform. It's mind boggling. But as Packer fans, feel lucky that it happens, because most other teams, when they pay a crap ton of money to somebody and those guys don't perform, their teams stink.
And they get rid of them after a little bit too.
Well, yeah, because they're losing a bunch of games. And somehow the Packers are winning games because these other guys step up who you didn't expect much from, or certain people didn't, and they still win games. I don't know. I know we don't have a young kicker that's good, but McManus is doing pretty good. All right. Let's get to it before we go. We got to get your silent but deadlies, and then we're out the door. Let me get to it because I have a good one this week. I think
I didn't watch the film back this week, so I don't. My silent but deadly is going to be Cox Jr.
And now it's time for the Hafman Bros Silent but Deadly Player of the Week.
All right, Ben already gave it away. Cox Jr.
My guys, it's Cox Jr. because he played 5 plays the whole season before this. That's pretty damn silent. And then in his first game where he actually gets to some plays, he just destroys everybody on 2 plays because guys couldn't get there to block him fast enough. And he had a couple other good pass rushes. There's another play where I watched earlier today. It was the 3rd down play I talked about where Caleb Williams escaped and got away, where Brent Cox gets like within like a second of the play starting, he's 5 yards in the backfield, and nobody else has even gotten past line of scrimmage. And there's 6 guys who blitzed on the play. Now there was 2 stunts going on and other crap going on, but Rashawn Gary didn't have a stunt, and he was nowhere. He was still at the line of scrimmage, and Brenton Cox was already pushed the offensive lineman or the tight end or whoever it was that was blocking him 4 yards in the backfield at that point. So now he gave up the escape lane for Caleb Williams because he went too far, but still, he's going to give my silent but deadly this week because he was silent all year, and then he finally was deadly in the game and helped us win.
As soon as he got a chance. Brenton Cox, silent but deadly. Junior, silent but deadly. All right. My silent but deadly made 2 key plays in this game. He didn't get a lot of opportunities either. But he had 1 important play, 2 important plays. One was a 47-yard punt that pinned the Bears back within their 10-yard line at a key point of the game. And the other one, this was a 1-point game. This game was decided by 1 point. And on the extra point, after one of the touchdowns, there was a really garbagey snap.
It was really bad.
And Daniel Whelan saved it, got it down, and allowed that extra point to
go
through.
It was fast, too.
Yeah, and the Packers won by 1 point.
Or it was low. It was really
Daniel Whelan saved this game. I know he didn't get a lot of headlines after, but he saved this game more than any player in this game. And he's my silent but deadly. Daniel Whelan, silent but deadly player of the week, maybe the best punter in the NFL.
I don't know if I go that far, but he's pretty good.
He's pretty good. And maybe
Carl
the best
Brooks.
Maybe the best holder in the NFL. I don't know.
Yeah. Carl Brooks should get honorable mention for silent but deadly.
Yeah, Carl. He's a great player. Best off defensive lineman we have, Carl Brooks. I'm still saying it. Looks like Mike Daniels' kid. I mean, he could be Mike Daniels Jr.
I don't know about that.
Look at it's a little baby face. He looks young, but he looks like.
No.
I'm telling you, man. All right.
I mean, if Mike Daniels had him when he was 10 years old, maybe, but no.
All right.
Which would be weird.
All right. Who wins? It's a 325 kick from Lambeau Field, Ben.
Packers better win.
Better win.
They better dominate.
Last week, you said they had to win this game. You still think so?
Yes.
To get the 7 seed? because that's what we're going for. 7 seed, baby.
They have to keep in line with the Vikings and the freaking Lions, who they've lost to both of them, and they're 1 game behind the Vikings and 2 games behind the Lions. They have to keep winning, and especially against teams who are falling apart. The 49ers are not the same as they used to be. Bosa's banged up. Kittle didn't play last week. Somebody else is hurt. What's his face? The guy they gave all the money to, the receiver, who was a whiny piece of crap. What's his name?
Ayuk,
yeah. The Packers fans wanted them to draft him. No. Debo Samuel's choking their kicker, and it's all kinds of crazy crap going on over there. Like, they are a disaster area. But Christian McCaffrey's back, and this is going to be his 3rd game back. And I don't know. Might be kind of scary, but we'll see. But they need to win. So
Kittle's saying he's back, but the team.
I'm sure he'll play. He likes to play in Lambeau. He likes to be a crazy guy.
Can we get some Tucker Craft targets this week?
Well, he got a target. It was just picked off because it was way too high. I don't know how do you not pass the ball to Tucker Craft in the red zone?
Right?
Like, what are we doing? Like, if you're going to call a passing play, just do a screen to him. Like they had the awesome play with Malik Willis. Now, it only worked because the defense was worried about Malik Willis. And we talked about it. Maybe you need to have a Malik Willis package. Did you see what the Saints did with Taysom Hill?
Yeah.
He scored like 1 million points on fantasy. He's scored like 90 points by himself, and nobody had him.
Derek Carr doesn't care. He's just trying to win.
He's making money. He don't care.
All he's got to do is chuck it up to MVS, and he's good.
MVS? Freaking who would have known? Who the quarterback is.
That's the one of the guys Rodgers should have tried to get to the Jets, but he didn't do that.
Probably.
Oh well.
But yeah, I mean, they got to win. This is
all right. They're gonna win. I didn't look at the weather report yet, but that could change 100 times over. We're supposed to get
it's chilly. It's going to be in like the 40s, I think. The 40s, maybe.
I'll check it out. Green Bay. What's that?
But as I know, over here, it's going to be in the 30s all week.
It looks pretty good. Looks pretty decent.
Oh, yeah? Well, whatever.
I mean, it's good. It's going to be cooler, but it's not going to be like crazy. It's supposed to be like 44. Yeah, 40, like in the 40s at game time. So, and at least currently, there's no precipitation. Winds are pretty chill. Yeah, so should be a good day for football.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Yeah. So that all being said, the weather's not going to be a huge factor. Packers need to run the ball. Some people are worried about Brock Purdy running all over it. They got to, because he's more athletic than a lot of people think. But I mean, they gotta stop McCaffrey, and then they gotta run the ball on offense and do some play action passes because there's been way too much non-play action passes. And if Jordan Love is feeling better, get his ass under center more and run some regular play action pass stuff.
Well, the big Christian Watson play was a play action pass.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it and win the game. 27 to 21. Packers win.
I don't know. I don't do
8-3. 8-3, Ben.
They'll be 8-3. They better be. They need to be.
All right. Go Pack, go. Everybody have a good weekend. We stayed longer than we expected, but
hi, Dad. Love you. Dad says he loves us. We love you too,
appreciate
Dad.
you guys. Love you, Dad. Everybody be good. Stay good. Some of the white stuff coming, but that's just part of the gig here in the Midwest.
Yep.
All right.
Too.
Enjoy the game. Peace out, guys.
Tell me why, unicorn, but still